Welcome back to Code It with AI. I'm Carl Franklin from AvnDataGenie, and that's my friend Jeff Fritz from Microsoft. What's new? What's cooking, Jeff?
I don't know if you saw, but a train just went by. It went blazing by about a week ago. Did you see this?
Was it the Blazer train?
That's the one. That's the one.
Hey, we are really excited today because we get to finally show off our vision for the ultimate text-to-SQL query tool. Well, what should become that. Right now it works, but and we're going to make it public, and we're going to need your help to make it awesome. But we can't wait to show you, right, Jeff?
It's right now, it's that minimum viable product. It does that initial vision that we were looking for. And we've got so many ideas of where we want to take this and grow and make it take over the world.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, let me just refresh. The architecture is very important here. We really have two sections. We have an admin section where you gather all the data from your database, the schema and the metadata, so that the LLM can do its thing and it can interpret the schema correctly according to business rules and things, and exclude fields that you don't want to expose, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you want to teach the LLM, you want to teach the AI what your database looks like.
Right. And rather than giving the AI code or the LLM code access to your database, right, with a connection string, we're just going to generate JSON data from the database and use that to generate a system prompt, right? That's pure vanilla. And then the LLM, it's not going to execute things against your database. All it's going to do is return a SQL select statement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Start easy.
And we think that this architecture is safe and performant. However, on the downside, Jeff, what's the downside?
It uses a lot of tokens right now.
Yeah, it does. And this is just a little database, but I can imagine a huge database.
Yeah, when you're sending information about your database over to the LLM to look at so that it can generate a query, all that data that it's sending over, it can add up.
That's right. So here's the thing. If you want to limit what your queries can access, like the number of tables, probably a good place to start. You're going to use less tokens, but obviously your end user isn't going to be able to, type complex questions that result in complex select statements. So the more tokens you use, the bigger your database, the more flexible it's going to be for the end user, but the more expensive it's going to be for you.
Yep.
So let's look at the project here. The admin app is a Blazor application that you use to do things like generate the schema from the database and also deal with the metadata and all of the rules.
Those business rules and the nomenclature that you have about your application.
Right. So that's all in the admin app. But the admin app calls this schema generator, which is the file that generates the schema from a database connection. It's very simple. It's got models here, right? Column schema, database schema, foreign key schema, all of those things. And those are going to be used to generate a JSON file.
And at this point, it's really focused on just Microsoft SQL Server.
Right.
We know folks are going to want to use this with other products, and we're going to provide eventually hooks so that we can get in and extend this and make it really broadly capable.
Right.
Get it working first with our minimum viable scenario.
You can go to this test runtime page, which is kind of simulating what you're going to use in your own applications to allow your customers to enter plain text queries. But it's going to be calling the AvnDataGenie, which does all the work of executing with the LLM and has the SQL prompt builder. So let's look in the generator at create system prompt from JSON. It takes the database schema JSON and the LLM config JSON, and it essentially goes and creates a great big system prompt. So here's some simple stuff right here. And you can modify this however you want. And the rest of the stuff, it just gets from the JSON, like the database context, the business rules, and it gets the mandatory filters and business terminology, the detailed schema, right? With the foreign keys and the columns and the aliases. And then it returns the string, SQL only, no markdown, no explanation, no JSON. And boom, you've got a system prompt. So let's take a look at it in action, shall we, Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
And one thing you'll notice is that Jeff Fritz got a hold of this and ran with it, and that's why we are Aspirofied.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? There's a couple different ways that we want to be able to go with this in the future to help make it easy to demo and build onto. So let's get some logging. Let's get some groundwork in place first.
Yep. Okay, so let's run the app. All right, so we showed you this last week. The very first thing is you want to generate a schema. So you copy and paste your connection string in here, and then you generate the schema, and it calls that schema generator, and it pulls all that out into a nice JSON file. And there you go. Now it keeps that in memory while you go on to the next step, which is to configure the LLM. And we have this nice little guide up here. And so we showed this last week too, where each table might have aliases, and you might have aliases for columns as well, like title. You could use the word name.
Yep.
We have foreign keys defined here, and you can have hints for these. We have filters, as we showed last week, in business terms. So now that we've got our configuration, and this just automatically saves, you can go to the tester, and this is what's new, right? So you could say something like, show me the top 10 selling albums of all time with their sales numbers. That's the default. Also, when you put new queries in, we have a little history that gets saved, and it gets persisted to disk. So let's just use the default here and generate the SQL. Boom, there's the select statement. And here's something to notice. See that it has title as album title. It kind of made these things up, total sales, album title, but they're right. They're good. Now when I go to execute it, this is just in the demo, right? It spaces these out. So album title becomes album space title, total sales becomes total space sales. But there you go. Now this is just a table. In the future, we'll probably use a quick grid or something like that.
Yeah.
But there you go. You got the query here, and you got a quick execute, and you get to see it. If we go back to test, and I can use another one here. What is the best-selling region for new albums? Here's another query. There it is, the USA with the total sales. So let's just think about what we just did here. We started with a connection string. Could be a connection string to any SQL database. We turned that schema into JSON data, and then we configured it with all of the business rules and the names and the nomenclature of your business model. And then we used that to automatically create a very thick system prompt.
So, and then we took that system prompt and we used that with the English description, the natural language that you're using to query the database, mash those together, and the LLM helps generate SQL statement, and we're going to fire it against the database on this screen, and you got the data coming back from that. It's a pretty cool process.
I love it.
And we want to do more.
That's right. That's why we're opening up this repo. It's private as of this recording, but after we do a couple more tweaks, we're going to open it up. It's got a really great README that has all of the information, and including, get this, not only the LLM configuration and the keys that you need for secrets, but look at this, the file structure. with comments for each file. And speaking of comments, all of the code is commented.
Yep.
And so that will help you understand what we're doing here. This is just so cool. I just can't, I'm beside myself with happiness.
And we've got some ideas where we want to go next. You saw how we've got the project running inside of .NET Aspire. We have hooks in there. If you want to run with Ollama locally, we do support Ollama and using different models with your local machine. You can start that up. It's commented out right now inside of the Aspire app host, but it's real easy to turn that on and activate Ollama running locally on your machine.
You said you did that and had really good results, right?
I did. Now, I have an NVIDIA 3070 card on my machine, and I was running with the Quen model, and it did come back, and it ran nicely. I think there's some tweaking, some tuning we can do there. We do know that if you try to work with the GitHub free models that are out there, the number of tokens that it uses are just a bit more than GitHub will give you for free. So you're going to want to set up either your own service or use OpenAI or Claude and wire up to those services to get the LLM to work. But we're at the beginning here. We're gonna
if you can get Ollama working, you don't have to worry about tokens. You just have to worry about your power bill.
Absolutely. Right. And hey, after you run the query, after you generate the query once, save it off, use it somewhere else.
Right. That's a good feature. We didn't even put that in there. Saved queries. Right. Okay. Well, that's our show. And, if you, like usual, if you have any comments or questions, please send them to Jeff and me by email at codeitwithai@apvnx.com. We'll be sure to read them. Hey, we'll see what happens next week. Bye-bye.
Take care, friends.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out blazertrain.com and blazerpuzzle.com for more great content.